Is government going to discuss all the partially treated and the untreated sewage it dumps into the rivers and into the lakes of America? When is this government going to get honest about how they dump huge, vast amounts of untreated sewage and what they call partially treated sewage, like into Lake George, where all these septic tanks leak into the lake, like all the sewage that the village of Lake George dumps into Halfway Brook, and the partially treated sewage by the millions of gallons, the billions of gallons that go into the Hudson River. No wonder New York State's got the worst infection rates in the whole world, because of their partially treated releases of vast amounts of sewage into the public waterways. Now here's the reason that I am railing about this issue is these government officials with their printed money, they don't want to talk about this. They don't want to discuss the unbelievably dangerous practices of dumping partially treated and totally untreated sewage into the environment. We don't want to talk about that, do we, Mayor de Blasio? And Jared Kushner, old Donald Trump's son. How about it, Donald Trump? You're a big real estate development businessman. Let's talk about the black water coming out of your real estate developments, the black water coming out of your casinos, the gray water coming out of your golf courses. Let's talk about the partially treated sewage that gets dumped by the billions of gallons, gazillions of gallons into the Great Lakes. And let's bring it back to the flushing of Lake George. Let's talk about how you flush Lake George, David Wick and Roger Smith. You see, ladies and gentlemen, the Lake George Park Commission and the Department of Environmental Conservation in New York are the most dishonest, lying sacks of turds that have ever been put on this earth. They don't want to talk about the massive hazardous practice of dumping partially treated sewage all over the place for the big real estate developers and the great big financial interests and the mortgage investment and the mortgage bond and the mortgage securities industry. Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, you can't sell all these real estate schemes and real estate scams that dump all this sewage into America's waterways with, without keeping it secret and not talking about it. So Mayor de Blasio and Governor Cuomo and Donald Trump, y'all a bunch of damn liars. You're so concerned about the safety of the American people. Let's discuss all the sewage being dumped all over the place from the big real estate development companies, the villages, the towns, and the cities. Every damn city in America has sewage treatment plants that are putting partially treated sewage and completely untreated sewage, not only into the rivers and the creeks and the lakes, but let's talk about the groundwater. Let's talk about all the septic and sewage that's dumped by the gazillions of gallons every day in America straight into the water table through these septic systems. Yeah. You see, folks, I spent 45, 50 years in real estate development, built the biggest projects in the country. Do I understand what I'm talking about when I discuss black water? And the answer is, Donald Trump, you bet your stupid ass I do. And Jared Kushner, you bet your dumb ass I do. Yeah, so let's get real, America. They're telling people to stay at home and don't come out and wear gloves and wear a mask. Let's talk about all the sewage the government is dumping into the environment. There's a subject for you, Donald Trump and Pence and Barr and whoever it is, Chris, the FBI director, whatever the hell that jackass's name is. Let's talk about all the sewage that the Department of Justice and the Environmental Protection Agencies keeping secret and whitewashing and covering up. So to Donald Trump, I got a message for you, buddy. You ain't fooling me one little bit with your coronavirus update campaign rallies at the White House. You want to talk about something ugly, Donald Trump? Let's talk about all the sewage in the damn Hudson River and in New York Harbor. in the Potomac River, in the Chesapeake Bay. Yeah, let's talk about it, Donald Trump. I haven't heard one stinking word out of this government about its sewage dumping practices and all the other contaminated and toxin materials they put in America's waterways. Let's talk about that. The garbage barges and the great big landfills. Where do you think this stuff is going, Don Trump? Yeah. So, folks, I'm going to leave it right there. I mean, my faith in government is a big zip. A big freaking zero. Because they don't want to talk about it. They want to keep it quiet, like Warren County, New York, and like the town of Queensbury, New York, and the town of Lake George, and the town of Bolton, and the village of freaking Ticonderoga, and Essex County, New York, and Warren County, New York, and Washington County, New York, and on and on and on and on it goes. Basil Sagos, New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, New York State Health Department. What about all the sewage being dumped into the environment? The partially treated. That's like partially pasteurized milk. So, you know, de Blasio, go to hell. Take your government and just go back to hell with it. Because all you're doing, Mr. de Blasio, is lying to everybody. You're making yourself out to be some kind of a hero when the city of New York City, dumps more partially treated and totally untreated sewage into the environment than any other place in the world. How about that, Mayor de Blasio? And folks, all the information and the proof and the links you need are posted below. And as always, hasta la vista, God bless, and you betcha we'll be back.